Which brings us to our topic for the evening, which is live by the conspiracy, die by the conspiracy. This is one of the most, I don't think people have a grasp of this. And we've been talking a little bit about how like violent rhetoric from either side gins up the violence on both sides and gives people an excuse of why they would carry out awful shit and blah, blah, blah. Okay. It is very clear that advocating violence will cause a return on violence and just ratchets things up. There's no problem that hasn't been solved by violence that will be solved by a little bit more violence. It's just not. Okay. Anyways, so that said, and we'll talk a little bit about that in terms of the current unpleasantness, I have no doubt. But on top of that is that once you get kind of attached to the concept of conspiracies, that you think, I can't possibly be failing on the merits, they must be out to get me, right? This is one of the constant things, like, it's ubiquitous amongst every single, like, major power player in media, you know, outside of kind of the tepid mainstream. Anybody streaming that's got that big numbers on Rumble or big numbers on Twitch or big numbers on YouTube, if they see a dip in sales, it couldn't possibly be that it's just that's life. Fucking the internet does things. It's that they're out to get me. They're shutting me down, right? Okay. And the problem with that is if you internalize it, you can't help but externalize it, because you will get into the mode where you can't not let anything, you can't let anything slide. You can't not dissect every fucking thing. And I'll show you exactly what I mean, because what's happening around the Charlie Kirk murder is that because there's so many moving parts in an investigation like this, once they get down to finally like, okay, who actually did it? What's the case they're building and all that kind of stuff. That once you start doing that, the people who got attached to a detail along the way that either fed their own personal biases or attached to a conspiracy they want to believe or sounds fucked up to them and doesn't fit, they won't be able to let that go. They won't be able to go, I just misheard that. And I showed you guys videos yesterday on the Blaze is one of the worst, but it's indicative of what's going on. Of these shows where they're misquoting things, they're grabbing details, and they're building their entire theory on a misquote that I would argue that isn't even from somebody else. Some of these motherfuckers are just misreading it. They're pulling they're reading something right there, and they are paraphrasing it in their own head, and their own paraphrase is now truer to them than the quote that they read. Does that make sense to everybody? You get where I'm going with this? They are building the foundation of their conspiracy is based on their own poor reading comprehension mixed with their bias and their inability to let life just be murky or full of shit or wrong, as it more than often is. That they run around like fucking Mario and Donkey Kong with Occam's rubber mallet, just derp, 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 and they're convinced that every idea that popped into their head still has to work, even if the facts don't bear it out afterwards. And if the facts don't bear it out afterwards, it's not that I must have misheard this, I must have misread this must have been an incomplete piece of information that I, because I'm a dumbass, ran with. It can't possibly be that. It has to be the facts that are the problem. We saw this with COVID. We've seen this with them rewriting fucking Jan 6. And it certainly, as shit, is applying to the Charlie Kirk murder, which seems, at this point, fairly cut and dry. Now, do I love me a conspiracy theory? Oh, sure. Yeah. I'll dive down. I'll pick them apart. When you get to what I would consider conspiratorial bedrock, which is we can go no further without real information, the fun is over and it's a waste of fucking time. If new information comes out, we'll re-up the conversation, right? But in the case of, there are areas where I'll show you this part of it. Let's start with the king dipshittery around the world, which is the initial, because of the memes that were written on the bullets, attached it to the kind of Groyper movement, which was anti-Charlie Kirk from the right. And then there's anti-Charlie Kirk from the left. And then there's you and I, which borderline ignores everything about Charlie Kirk and thinks of him as sort of a gentrified second-tier Matt Schlapp wannabe, part of the mechanics of fundraising and campus bullshit that's been around for a long time. Honestly, not charting in an era where presidential campaigns cost $1 billion. The idea that an organization like Turning Points USA would exist and run on 80 to 120 million is not fucking weird at all. Okay? It's just not. So I'll show you what I mean. Let's jump into this real quick. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/AlSparks. It's my birthday next week. Just saying. Just throwing that out there. No pressure. Subscribe. Okay, so let's start with, I'm going to be 56 next week. All right. And I don't know if I'm older than Pat. I think I probably am. But I'm definitely older than him. I am not, however, using a caramelizing factor, like a filter rather, on my face for the show or for my thumbnails. Just throwing that out there. So, yeah. This is, these guys have been, this is like some Eric Bowling level polish. All right. So anyways, it's okay, guys. Age gracefully. And if you can't do that, age disgracefully. That's what I'm doing.
I keep saying you have to lower the temperature ASAP. Here's what's happening if you don't, okay?
By the way, does anybody think this asshole cares about lowering Trump's temperature about this, right? Does anybody think that that he gives a shit about lowering the temperature against liberals? No. That's not where the problem is with this crowd right now. You might think there is because of how Trump is talking, but that's not what's happening in maggotdom.
One, you got Nick Fuentes says his followers framed in Charlie Kirk shooting. So what is a Groyper? That's one story, right?
He's just got his little list.
Then you have another story that's coming up that talks about the number of words with Israel. I don't know what page that's on, Rob.
Probably 3. It's probably 3 or 7. Probably it's on page. Guys, can somebody look up what page it's on? This is fucking riveting.
10,000 words. 10,000. Adam, that was one of the stories that you chose.
Page 10,000 conspiracy theories.
Yeah, what page is that?
Page 5.
Okay, page 5. So let me read both of them. So
This is gonna be great.
over 10,000 posts. Oh, that's Nick
What size shirt do I wear? I wear a small because it keeps me honest.
Fuentes. Okay. My followers and I are currently being framed for the murder of Charlie Kirk by the mainstream media bias based on literally zero evidence. After the left gunned him down, they celebrated and justified it. They said I was next. Now they're blaming me. These people are evil. What is that, Rob? What is a Groyper?
That's a Google trend search of how many people were searching the term Groyper.
Because that's his following. That's
Yes.
what they call okay.
No. Okay. The reason they're doing a search on this is not because they're all like, who can I blame? Blah, 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 blah. Nobody was typing that in to go, okay, I can blame the Groypers, right? No. Everybody's looking it up because nobody knows what the fuck it is. It's fucking random. It's like 764, the fucking online, like, murder cult, shitty like conspiratorial group that like they like blackmail underage girls on the internet and torture them and all kinds of horrible shit. Okay, it's 764 because it's named after the area code of the dude in Dallas who started it when he was 15 years old. That's why people look it up. They're not like, suddenly people are interested in Dallas. And in this particular instance, Groyper sounds fucking dumb. And a lot of people, I guarantee, at least a third of the people typing in what is a Groyper are like, am I typing this right? What the fuck is a Groyper? Why is Groyper a thing? Right? Is it Groper? Like half the people are just like, what the fuck? That's why. Not like, okay, now we've got someone to blame. Now, let me learn as much about them so that I can insist they did the wrong thing.
Got it. So then you have this other story here of over 10,000 posts tied Charlie Kirk's murder to Israel as conspiracy theories explode. Online ADL report. Let me see this one here.
Gee, I wonder where that came from. Why is a Groyper? Who is a Groyper? When is a Groyper? Right.
With an unusual gate.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. I can't switch channels.
Gate.
Shut up, weirdo.
Anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. Is there a video on this one, Rob? Because
I hope so. Yeah. You know what? I don't. I take it back. I don't want there to be a video. I want us to all watch you leaf through fucking papers.
It's just a montage of different videos of people
Ooh, a montage. You know, the French don't even have a word for montage.
highlighting about.
This one was everywhere.
By the way, a bunch of people texted me asking, is this real or not? Bunch of people. And
A bunch. Are they in a particular chat group of like Jew haters? Do you have a little?
I'm talking big names.
Yes.
Bunch of people like, did they really take this video down? This was the moment, Rob, if you want to play this clip. This was on our podcast. This is October 8th, October 10th. I mean, it's like literally a day after or 2 days after.
Yeah.
Go ahead and play this clip, Rob.
I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel is on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu is basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead.
Yeah, you guys. How many of you are familiar with that quote from Charlie Kirk? Now, it doesn't wipe away the bullshit he said, but right? But yes, he's dead. He's basically, and everybody around him is making the argument that Netanyahu triggered October 7th so that he could stay in power and spend all this time fighting and doing all this kind of shit, and then they killed Charlie Kirk because he wouldn't help them foment more of this and to help Trump.
I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked.
Okay,
was there a
right
stand
there.
down?
Was that unfair? I think that's a very fair assessment of what he's asking, right? Let me read this to you.
So anyways, that's the point of the conspiracy theory, just so you know. That's one of the big, it's been one of the springboards.
Anti-Semitic conspiracy theories have exploded on social media in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's killing, with thousands of posts blaming the assassination on Israel, according to an Anti-Defamation League report on Friday. Since
he said blaming on Israel, just so you like, he's just blazing through this. So just in case,
Israel conservative act.
It was like Israel. I'm like, it's not. Whatever.
If it's brutal killing on Wednesday, there have been over 10,000 posts on X alone linking it to Israel. The report said Kirk, co-founder of Turning Point USA, conservative organization, became a major political figure for young. Okay. So these are stories. You got two of them, right? The one story is Groypers. Guys are posting saying Nick criticized Charlie Kirk a month ago, and now he's speaking positively about him. And then the other one saying, no, this is Israel and all the blame that they're putting because of that clip.
By the way, this is all on the right. let's be real clear. Do you, like I said before, do you think these assholes would be addressing this? And by all measures, allegedly, a trans adjacent human being, not a trans person himself. His trans partner's working with the FBI to turn him in. Arguably, they're like, does that make me gay? The same way, I suppose, Alex Jones, when he was caught looking at trans porn, or even, I guess, Nick Fuentes, when he also had that open on his computer at one point when people caught him doing that. That this is kind of a part of that circle, right? The trans Tifa concept, right? But this is all happening on the right. This, in theory, they've got the perfect scapegoat for the right to just jump on. Slightly less than perfect. Obviously, he's not. He's white and college age. Like they would have rather him been outside this window. Okay, right? For them to just jump on it, and they're not. You know why? Because they can't. They can't let it go. They can't just deal with the facts that are in front of them. Right. Lance Twiggs is not trans. Well, that's the debatable part. And it doesn't matter to this argument about what's going on with them. We'll cover that in a little bit.
Of him on our podcast saying he called that Israel, and because of that, he was taken out. Adam, your thoughts on this story here?
Well, let me just say this. Israel has no greater ally than Charlie Kirk. As far as some...
Well, that was the thing, is that apparently lately he was starting to push back on what they were doing, as a lot of people are, and reasonably so. And they offered him a bunch of money. Apparently, that's the other theory, that they offered him a bunch of money to toe the line and it would double his budget. And he said no and said, thank you very much. And then that was that, right? That's the other part of this. So
someone who is Christian, American, and defends Israel. Now, you have to understand, he's not blindly following the Bibi Netanyahu doctrine and Israel can do no wrong. He will criticize Israel's government just like he'll criticize the American government. That's what gets...
Yeah, but that's, again, it's like saying he'll criticize America and he'll criticize Vladimir Putin. Which one of them do you think is a little more touchy about that and might take you out? I mean, all Trump authoritarian shit aside and wannabe nonsense, who actually sprays stuff in people's faces and in parks in Germany, right?
Lost in the shuffle here. Just because you criticize a government doesn't mean you don't believe in the country or the people. We criticize the American government all the time. You'd be hard-pressed to find a group of patriots that love America more than the people in this room.
Again, this seems like excusing yourself.
So just because you criticize somebody doesn't mean that you...
How people's calling for the text. Yeah, I'll show you some of those in a minute.
...are not on their side. So as far as the conspiracy theories that have just popped up out of nowhere...
They didn't pop up out of nowhere. They popped up out of people's need to fill in the gaps with something that agrees with them already. It's a wave of confirmation bias. Yes, he called himself a...
Let me just tell you, I don't think Nick Fuentes had anything to do with this whatsoever.
Yeah, he didn't have to. That's not the point. The Groypers are not an actual organization. That's the same thing like with... You had probably no problem targeting every trans person because you think this is trans adjacent. So you're completely comfortable blaming all of them. But somebody who calls themselves an incel Groyper is totally capable of some shit like this.
And now he feels like he understands what it feels like to be Jewish in this world, and everything goes to what I would call the little boy that cried Israel. So, the internet goes out. Oh, it's probably Mossad. Your favorite team loses the game. Here's something that came up online. Pop said Israel rigged his team to lose. Sorry, bro. Your team just lost the game. Your girlfriend breaks up with you. Sorry, bro. It wasn't Israel. If you want to look for the easiest low-hanging explanation, just blame Israel.
Okay, so this is his pushback on like their own side. Again, this is do you think they would give a rat's ass if if Democrats were going, I think Israel's behind this, right? No. This is their fucking problem. And I just need you to know that without any input from our side, these assholes are backbiting each other through this whole thing, like from day one.
I've seen it time and time again. It's perfectly okay to criticize Netanyahu and Israel and the government actions, where you get into
Gee, thanks. I feel so much better and freer.
hot water is when you start blaming everything on the Jews. Do better.
Okay, Adam. I'm sorry, Vinny.
Yeah, no, I and here's the thing, and you guys know, I criticize everybody from our government with Bush when I was in during September 11th and all the questions. Mind you, Charlie's assassination literally overshot. Nobody even, we did at the event, but it's as if 9/11, the flags were half mast, but I mean, still the unanswered questions with that. But when it comes to the Israel thing,
Right. Did you hear that little part? Like the flags are at half staff, not mast. You're not on a fucking boat. Half staff. That he was at the 9/11 thing, and there's still so many unanswered questions from that. But Charlie's assassination overshadowed all of it. Dive in, Vinny.
like when people just shout out, and my point being, I'm critical of Israel, I'm critical of everybody, but
No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're very selective about your criticism, and your criticism specifically of Netanyahu and Israel is really fucking tepid, for the record. This is like one of those, it's like a hack comic who comes out and does like a really racist jokes and goes, I make fun of everybody. You're like, no, I don't think you do. I think you're making a bunch of jokes about Mexicans, and then you didn't turn that around, right? You're not, cause they're like Italians, right? You didn't do that. You just dropped that bomb, that turd on the stage and walked away. First of all, and also on a personal note, as a comedian, the whole like I make fun of everybody thing is horseshit, especially if you come from a position of power, or where the jokes about you are cute, but the jokes about other people are degrading, right? I just I gotta say, like I'm not a big fan of the whole like white privilege argument or any of that kind of shit, but like rich people making poor people jokes, like I make fun of everybody. You're like, I don't know, asshole. I don't think that counts. I think if you make a lot of your rich people jokes, don't hurt the way poor people jokes do, especially from a rich person. Does that make sense? How about fuck off?
for the people that are just blaming Israel, okay, how? Tell me, like instead of just going out there and going, yeah.
Obviously with a space laser. Have you not been paying attention? What they did was they waited, they tricked the guy to there, and then they reflected it off the glass on his scope.
They're behind it. How do they do it? So you mean to tell me Israel got to Tyler, who's in the trans boyfriend, whatever, and made him, talked him into going on a roof and shooting Charlie, jumping off the roof and running and hiding, even though all the backstory with the father and all that. I think it's getting lazy to where you're just gonna shoot out Israel. Give me facts, and by the way, I'll go with you. I'm one of the. How many times have I talked to?
Oh, by the way, one of the things he's dodging right now, and I wish I could show these videos, and I'm kind of glad I can't because they involve the actual video of Charlie Kirk being murdered, is they have been focusing on people like on his right, who apparently someone who is allegedly holding a gun and shooting him like this, and that's why his neck goes this way, and it's why it opens up this way. And then there's another shot of another guy who's like pulling up his sleeve, and as he does it, they're like, see, he has a gun right there and his hand's fucking empty, but they don't care because he's playing Got Your Nose or something, or his thumb's right here, so they're like, that's actually a gun. It's fucking stupid. But they're not even believing that the shooter did it. They were getting in this thing where they coaxed him to be there, and then other people killed him, right? It's just so fucking stupid. Thanks, Ron.
About October 7th saying, listen, give me the answers. You guys mean to tell me that area, was there a stand down order? What happened? I still, remember, who was it? John Kirby was like, now's not the time. Okay, when is the time? Put that aside. Give me the plan of how Israel got to this guy who's up.
Can I just say that Vinny is the Anna Kasparian of peanut butter dickhead? Can I just say for the record, like almost the same hand gestures, almost the same sort of condescending tone, Like, if I didn't know better, I would think Anna, in her, in her rightward trajectory, just transitioned into Vinny. I'm just telling you. Like, does anybody else notice that? All right.
Obviously messed up in the head with his trans boyfriend and did it. Don't just shoot it out. Give me facts, and then
Yeah, please help me blame the Jews because I was busy blaming the transes. that's Vinny's argument. And again, he's not red in the face because of you and me, kids. No. Sparklers, people in my chat room, I gotta tell you, he's not red in the face and like, what the fuck? Give me the info, okay? And then maybe I'll go with you. He's not doing that because he read fucking Klippenstein or fucking Aaron Rupar or fucking Brooklyn Dad or somebody or JoJo on Twitter. Like, he's not reacting to them. He's reacting to maggots who are filling up his fucking timeline with Israel killed Charlie Kirk. Also probably Zelensky. Also probably Bill Gates. Like, I'm telling you, like, it's so fucking gross. But they're pissed off and freaking out, not because of you and me, but because of their own.
I'll listen to your argument. If not, it's weak. Period.
Yeah. So, Rob, is this the clip between August and September why they're blaming Nick? Go ahead and play this clip.
We had our disagreements. Where we did agree is that he would go to these college campuses and proclaim the name of Jesus Christ. And ultimately, that is why he was killed. The gunmen that killed him, they hated him because of his defense of Christian morality. Charlie Kirk cannot call himself a Christian anymore. Sorry, you forfeited that. I do not want to hear.
Sorry, you guys are looking for consistency from Nick Fuentes about a fucking beef that he had with Charlie Kirk, and then what he says after the dude's fucking dead.
And you cannot allow Charlie Kirk to go to one more public event, one more question and answer, one more ask me anything, without being protested, without being shouted down, without being interrogated about this. This guy goes around from campus to campus in the most artificial and phony and fake way, talking about, oh, God made me very...
Can I pause for just one moment and point out to you that who gives a shit? But can I point out specifically that this is not a clip of Lawrence O'Donnell. This is not a clip of fucking Stephanie Miller. This is not a clip of fucking, some rando on a panel on CNN. This is their side. And they're having to post, these assholes are playing, think about this for a second. These assholes are playing a before and after attitude shift fucking cover story by somebody that, like, they were gonna have on the show as a guest and then didn't, and whatever. Who had fucking a dude who actually had fucking brunch with Trump and Kanye.
blessed that I control $500 million. Oh, I'm
Right, yeah, this is not Cliff Schecter or Joy Reid, and it's certainly not a trans person.
so blessed. I'm so
Well, all right, obviously, citation needed.
rich and I'm so blessed to know God's been so good to me. I'm such a Christian. Oh, the Lord, the Lord gave me the Sabbath. I take Saturday off. You sit there and call yourself a Christian, and then you make excuses.
So to me, this is, I don't think he had anything to do with it.
Okay.
I don't think Israel had anything to do with it. I don't think.
I think you can pretty much apply that statement to everything on this show. You don't think.
Make the argument. I'm very open to it. I don't think. I think this kid has mental issues. But I do think it could be.
Oops, that's going to trigger everybody. Now, where's the Nick Fuentes video? Like, PBD thinks I'm mentally challenged. Let's do this. Blah, blah, blah. You're Iranian, blah, blah, blah. Like, you wait. It's going to. Not that I give a shit. But you know that they're just going
Be a reflection of words that was said. I do think it could be a reflection of things that were said. Now, I will tell you one part of this that makes me very uncomfortable. Okay, let me go and find this story. Rob, if you can find it.
Yeah, good work. Because this is so much better. It's riveting for all of us. You flicking on your phone than flipping through pieces of paper.
From Musk. Musk had a tweet that said of a guy that said, they're not doing this. You have to find it. It has to do with something with calling you a Nazi and a fascist. Okay, if you find that quote, that's exactly the quote that, to me, explains what's going on.
Okay, so what he's boiling it down to is that because everybody called right-wingers Nazis and fascists, that's what drove this guy to kill him. It's not Israel, it's not Nick Fuentes, it's not the Groypers, it's Democrats referring to what Trump is doing with troops in the streets as fascism is what led this guy to shoot Charlie Kirk. That's where he's going to land. So he's trying to make a Yui on bullshit boulevard. That's what he's trying to do. And the road is a little slippery. Okay, now let's see. He's got Valuetainment, 6.9 million subscribers. This video has 228,000 views a day
The
ago.
suspect walks with very
This
little.
is today. This is Candace Owens earlier today. And she goes through. She live streams reading the transcripts on the charging documents for the suspect. Check this shit out, and then you'll see why this is a problem they're going to have a lot of difficulty with over the next few weeks.
Delete
probably.
incriminating text messages and not to speak with police. And also they will be charging him count 6 because children were present at the time of the shooting. Okay. Now, to get through this, we are told that the suspect...
We are told... Just put a pin in that.
After this shooting took place, that there was a police officer who immediately looked upward and realized that he had heard the sign of a rifle.
The sound of a rifle, I guess that would be a gunshot.
Knew that it was obviously coming from the rooftops. They then began crawling through the footage to see what had happened. They tell us that this discovery led to an intensive review. Let me go actually back up to this paragraph. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera that was covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual that was dressed in dark clothing who had crossed the railing from the public walkway and dropped onto the roof at approximately 12:15 p.m. Now, just to very quickly, I'm going to just tell you, according to our timeline,
Okay. Understand, this woman is breaking this shit down and trying to conform the details that are coming from the actual documentation about what actually happened to a timeline that she has concocted herself over bits and pieces of publicly reported shit. And when it matches, she goes, that's weird. And then when it doesn't match because she misheard it or some other shit, that something is being manipulated. Watch.
know that Charlie gets shot at 12:23 p.m. So they're now telling us that he was on that roof since 12:15 p.m. So he's setting up that shot, we can assume, for about 8 minutes, okay? It goes on, although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, the camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling to the area that the officer had recognized as where the suspected sniper had dropped into a prone shooting position.
Okay, real quick. Understand what's happening here. The person, presumably Tyler Robinson, climbed over a little railing or whatever on the upper part of the building where there's a higher section, and then the rest of it's a lower, the rest of the rooftop. Hopped over that thing, and then basically scuttled across the whole thing, kept down, and then got up close to the edge of the thing and laid down and set up the shot in about 8 minutes, which means probably, 2-3 minutes of hiding there and then moving across and checking the area and stuff. But the idea is that she was he jumped over the railing, ran over to the spot, dropped on the ground, and spent 8 minutes setting up the shot. It's just, you can see how she's fabricating a puffed timeline in everything that she describes.
After a short time, which matches the known time of the shot, the individual arose and then ran across the roof to the northeast. So nothing in here implies that he had, taken apart the shotgun. That just seems to be now removed.
Did you hear shotgun? Did you hear her say shotgun? This is why this matters. Every time these motherfuckers, and Candace Owens does this all the time with everything. They just, it was a rifle. It's a 30-06. It's a hunting rifle. It had a really expensive scope on it. It belonged to, it was a gift, whatever. Like, we know details about this now. But do you understand how that matters? Like, when people misspeak, it's one thing all the time. But this is all over the fucking place. And they do it constantly. And then later on, people will reference shit that she says like it's news. And this is just indicative of like all this. Like, I don't know if she corrects it, but this applies to how they talk about the fucking ACA. This applies to how they talk about like the Infrastructure Act passing. It's like every single thing. They misread something, misquote what they just misread, and then it becomes like codified because it was on fucking video.
Moved from the narrative altogether. It goes on to read that this discovery led to an intensive review of UVU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect.
Which it happens every time there's a fucking mass shooter, an active shooter, somebody in a school after the fucking fact. Right? They always do this. That's why the cameras exist, dipshit.
Surveillance revealed the following: that at approximately 11:51 a.m., the suspect had entered campus from the north. He is wearing a black shirt with an American flag in its center, a dark baseball cap, large sunglasses.
Yes, we've all seen the picture, ma'am.
Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. As he proceeds...
Gee, it's almost as if he was planning to shoot someone. Asshole.
Across the campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait.
Because he had the gun in the leg of his pants. And his his shirt draped over the butt. Stupid.
The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg.
Gee. And then he pulls the rifle out of his asshole, I guess? Is that what we're going with?
Consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. This
Or consistent with just being happy to see you. This is so fucking... Listen to how she's fucking reading this. Like everything that's kind of self-evident has this kind of like, Look at her. Look at how she's reading this shit.
Usual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railing off the open walkway and onto the roof, where he leaves the camera's view. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say is they've only sent us screenshots, right? We've only seen a picture of him coming up the staircase. It looked to me like both his legs were bending. I don't see why they don't just release. Why don't they just release this fully so we can make sure that this is the same person that we see walking across with a limp, right? That footage which was provided by TMZ. Also, you will notice that nowhere in this indictment as we go on are they going to mention which Governor Cox spoke about. Like,
oh my God.
First, he came in a different outfit. Remember, Governor Cox said he was wearing the light shorts and maroon shirt. The implication here being that maybe he came to come scout things, to check things out. At first, this is him, but then he comes back in the black outfit. This is missing from the indictment, and I'm wondering why. What is the explanation for that? That would be a part of it if you were scouting the shooting.
Well, because it's obvious that he had planned it, so they didn't need more evidence of the planning, or they didn't have to put that into the fact that he brought a gun and assembled it. Again, or that he wrote a note, I suppose.
Now they're just like, let's jump into the guy that is wearing black, and we're not going to give you footage. We're going to tell you that this is him, and you can assume that he slowly walked up this staircase and was obscuring his face from view. Okay.
Okay.
Then it tells us that a camera
And one shot from a 30-06 will not melt steel in Building 7.
later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof. He gets into the shooting position, and then immediately after the shot was fired, we know that he runs across carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle.
Gee, I wonder where he got that from. Do they have a habit of laying rifles on the rooftops of places? Then maybe he brought it with him in his fucking pants leg, like they said, used it, and left with it, and then left it where they said he left it, and they found it. I don't understand. Like, okay, if you want to believe there's a conspiracy behind this, or that it was manipulated, or there's fucking other stuff. Sorry, I'm much louder. I didn't mean to do it. It's partly their stuff. I beg your pardon. I will dink. I'll bring myself down a touch. Perhaps that. Yeah. If you want to believe there's a conspiracy, that's fine. But at least fill in the gaps in it. Fill in the gaps in the fucking story. Right? Don't go with the of course, if he fired a shot, then he would leave with a rifle. Now, there's probably a reason, I would say, this occurred to me just now, that the reason she's saying that he left with an item and he may not have even had it with him is that somebody left the gun for him, and that he, went up there to take a nap or some shit, and that he woke up and there was a gun next to him, and then somebody was dead, and he's like, oh shit, and ran out like the parallax view.
The suspect is then seen climbing down the roof. He appears to drop the item that he was carrying as he hits the ground in a controlled fall. He then picks up the item and runs toward the northeast end of the campus.
Yes, we've all seen that video, but I prefer your description. I take it back. Maybe there's something to AI audiobooks.
It tells us that's how they then expand their crime scene investigation. They followed his escape path to the northeast end of the campus.
Yes, as they do in all these circumstances, wherever there's fucking cameras. Anybody who's watched a true crime fucking anything,
where they believe the suspect left campus and entered a wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. So again, there was no disassembly. It's wrapped in a towel. Presumably, that's how he covered it while he was running. The rifle contained 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds. This is consistent with the facts, officer.
Also, notice how she said there was no disassembly. Okay, the reason she's saying that is the idea, because there was a screwdriver with his DNA found at the scene, along with, I guess either with the rifle or whatever. We'll look at that detail in a bit. But the point is, he had assembled it. The whole rifle wasn't just fully assembled in his pants. He had basically it in 2 parts. Like, he put the barrel onto it when he got there. But when he left, it was a full rifle. And so he didn't disassemble it as he was fucking off after he shot. Yes, with the shotgun that isn't a shotgun.
Observed at the time of and immediately after.
It wasn't his grandpa's. I think it was a gift from his grandfather's, or the site was from his grandfather. But these are, again, why are they so sketchy about this?
The shooting, there were no shell casings that were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt action rather than an auto-loading weapon, and only a single round was fired, okay? Then they...
Right, he policed his brass, put it in his pocket, and then he took the rest of it with him.
Tell us what was actually inscribed. And these are essentially memes. Hey, fascist, catch, says one on one cartridge.
We've seen this, sorry, okay. So we know about this part. Now let me jump ahead real quick. She gets to the point where she reads the text exchange between Tyler and Lance. And this is, by the way, Candace is convinced that Lance Twiggs, who is allegedly trans and currently transitioning, even though both of them used male names, it's all over the place. And again, there's a wateriness to this that's not germane to the entire fucking conversation at all. It doesn't matter, but they want it to matter. She wants it to be related to the fact that Lance is trans somehow, and so it needs to make sense. Right? It needs to pan out this way, and you can see it affects her reading of this. So, yeah. So here you
reading that note, the roommate texts Tyler, and he says, "What? You're joking, right? Robinson writes, I'm still okay, my love, but I am stuck in a REM for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you. The roommate replies, you weren't the one who did it, right? Robinson replies, I am. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so obviously it was a conspiracy between the two of them. This reads like a conspiracy to everyone. I gotta say. Also, the reason that I think the what part happens is because shit. Hold on. I think there was a thing where he had called or left a message saying, "Look for the message that says I'm the one that did it," and so the response. Robinson told Twigs to look under his keyboard, and there was a note there. And the texts start with the response to the note.
The roommate replies, I thought they caught the person. Robinson replies, no, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle still lingering. The roommate says, why? Robinson says, why did I do it? The roommate says, yeah. Robinson says, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully, they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. The roommate says, how long have you been planning this? Robinson says, a bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, referring to the rifle, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Robinson says, I'm wishing.
By the way, I want to point something else out too in this exchange. And this exchange was made public today in the charging documents. Twigs at this point says only two things. How long you've been planning this? And then there was this whole, like, how the fuck I explain it, losing it to my own man, blah, blah, blah. Delete the exchange. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says grandpa knows, blah, blah, blah. Since Trump got in office, my dad's been pretty diehard MAGA. I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is deputy for the sheriff. You are all I worry about, love. And Twigs just says, I'm much more worried about you. Don't talk to the media. Don't take any interviews, make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. So at one point, Robinson's just dumping. Even Twigs just kind of like, seemingly anyways, freezes up and doesn't respond while a bunch of this shit while he's just dumping this information. And more than likely, they were talking about death penalty. At this point, there's a very strong chance that that's what they're referring to.
I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle.
Okay, so she goes on and reads this shit, blah, 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 and then, hold on, anytime you see her face do that.
In a towel. What?
Okay, that's exactly what happened. Watch this.
I'd have to abandon it and hopefully they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. What? You're worried about explaining losing the rifle to your father?
Because it's a detail that if you escape, you're still going to have to explain where the rifle went. Because you're going to have to get rid of it. And so the idea is that the absence of it ties you to the crime. That's what he's talking about. He still thinks he's going to get away, or there's a potential to get away. So that's why he's talking like that. Like, these aren't criminal masterminds. That's what he's fucking saying. Of course it doesn't make sense, because they've already caught him, dipshit. God damn, this is dumb.
Not worried that you left the rifle and therefore it's obviously going to be found out.
No, that it isn't yet. That's the fuck. You just read this, you fucking putz.
Like, the only thing that you left was the murder weapon? This is weird.
No, it isn't. It's gigantic. Dumbass. God, what the fuck? You're a person walking down the street. You're a person walking down the street with a giant hunting rifle with a fucking scope on it. Which one's more conspicuous? Gee, I might have to get rid of this. You wrap it in a towel, hide it in the fucking woods, walk along like, I don't know, what was all the commotion? And then you come back and get it later. That was the plan. It was a stupid plan, but that was apparently the plan. And the idea is at this point, this asshole still thinks he can go back and fucking get it and split, but he's gonna have to get rid of it because it's a fucking murder weapon. And so his dad's gonna go, hey, whatever happened to that hunting rifle? I thought we were gonna go hunting next weekend. Like, I don't know, I lost that. Like, get the fuck out of here, stupid. There's nothing hinky about this, you dipshit. But look at her fucking face. Because she wants this to be like Mossad or the CIA, or more than anything, probably that it was the trans roommate that did it. It can't just be this 22-year-old white dude. It doesn't make sense. Except it totally fucking does. Now, is Candace Owens confused? When is she fucking not? But you have to understand, this is the same critical thinking that dissects politics.
This chain is weird to me. It's weird to me that we don't know what time. I don't know what he means. Where is he stuck here, guys? Do you have a clue here? I'm stuck in a REM for a little while longer.
It's a town in Utah.
It shouldn't be long until I can come home. Is it a typo? I should have asked you guys. Okay, that's the town. Okay, that's the town.
She's got an earpiece in and her producer talks to her.
Stuck here for a little while longer. It shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. So is this happening during lockdown? He tells him to check under and to see. Oh, check under quickly and see, and I took care of it, and he's where?
Orm's a Utah town. The check under the keyboard is the part she's talking about because apparently they're in the fucking apartment. Again, it's one thing to think that there might be more to this, or there's a conspiracy going on, or whatever. But you're not going to find it in this shit. Like, they didn't give us the timeline on when these texts were sent. And like, because it's self-evident in the charging documents. This was after the fucking okay. And again, I'd like to remind everyone, this is allegedly the right is supposedly dancing a jig. The White House right now is dancing a jig because they think they can lay this off on lefties. Do you understand? And this dickhead, and it's like setting little fires everywhere outside of what they think the argument should be, like where the blame should go.
And now he's giving him an accounting of exactly what's taken place, which means if this is right after and they're still in lockdown, he's monitoring the situation?
Yeah, I don't know where he would get an electronic device where someone could monitor the news on a major event that just happened. Can anyone think of it? Did he get one of those little TVs with the antennas on it that Rockford had in his fucking trailer?
Because this is going to give us a timeline, whether they tell us when these messages happened or not. The fact that he already knows that they grabbed some crazy old dude and that they also interrogated someone in similar clothing, we're going to be able to go back and plot exactly when that happened.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's maybe why they didn't feel the need to timestamp it, because it's kind of self-evident. Let me guess, these messages happened after that shit happened because he's referencing something that fucking happened that we all saw.
At least when the public was informed, because this whole correspondence is very strange to me. It's very strange to me. He then is even more explicit, talk about trying to cover your tracks, but then explicitly texting everything to your lover. He says, the only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The effing messages are mostly a meme. If I see notices bulge on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to have to leave it. That really effing sucks.
Yeah, not a master criminal. Yeah, the kind of person. Yeah, have you ever read what fucking school shooters write? They're assholes. The message timestamps are everything. Yeah, I know. They exist, though. They don't have to show them in the charging document. They'll be part of the case. They're not lacking timestamps. They just don't have them in the printout. It doesn't mean they don't exist. That's where she's confused. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so if this is our guy, oh, we're not done. Let's finish. That really sucks. He's got to leave it.
Fuck me.
And then he says, judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I think that was a $2,000 scope. And then he does a winky face. And then he tells him, delete this exchange. And then Robinson says, my dad wants photos of the rifle. He says, Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me right now, not answering. So his dad's calling him. Okay, well, the dad, this is interesting. When is this text chain taking place? Okay.
After the first two people, during the next day. Hold on one second. I and I gotta say, I don't know when. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Nothing. Let's see. Hold on. I'm gonna find the charging documents. Fuck me. For later. Let's see. Hold on one second. Tyler Robinson charging documents. I'm gonna be annoyed, aren't I? Okay. All right. This is the. Okay, these were sent on September 10th. Let's check my okay, and this is the This is the image of the actual text messages. Hold on. This is September 10th, 2025. The roommate looked at the keyboard, found an image. Okay, this is the drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard. So this is the thing. Okay, then this is the part of it. They I guess arranged them. Note information as of 2 p.m. Eastern Time on September 16th. That's the source filed. Okay, this is the District in Utah filing. There we go. All right, so let me close this, and then this is what she's reading. Law enforcement followed the suspects escaped. Found each. They found these things, and then we'll go back to here. Okay. The roommate. Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting and provided messages to police. September 10th, 2025, roommate received a text message which said, drop what you're doing, look under the keyboard. The roommate looked under the keyboard. Okay, so they're not putting the timeline in there because they're showing what the exchange was. Those will end up being evidence in this. This is simply the primary indictment. Yeah, the count one for aggravated murder and the evidence therein. You don't have to put the fucking timestamp on them to do this. You'll have to do it to prove the case.
Okay, because we just heard that, the dad, they figured it out the next day. They're making it sound like this all happened back to back. Is this happening over 2 days? Why not tell us this instantly? So,
okay. The part of this, okay, here you go. This is the list of, these are these things. Robinson, there are ellipses in here, these ... dots. This is time passing between the messages. He's calling right now, not answering. There was a pause. Since Trump got in office, my dad's been pretty diehard MAGA. That's why this ... They're just fuck me. They're just like shortening it for the indictment.
I can work it into my timeline.
Yeah, you'll fucking follow the case, dumbass.
Okay, are these messages day one? And then what? They had no correspondence at all until he jumps right back in and says, my dad's calling me. Where were you when your dad called you? You guys lived together. Why are you?
No, they were in Orem. At the beginning of the message, it says, I hope to be able to come home soon. He never did. Asshole.
You texting at all? Why didn't this kid immediately call? If they're in lockdown and he needs to go back and get his rifle, right? This kid could have, and I'm speaking about Lance, could have contacted immediately and said, I'm getting a confession right now. I don't like that we are not being told the exact timestamp of these messages because, you know, my timeline demands it.
I beg pardon. I mean, I realize, you guys, we owe Candace an apology, all of us. I have to blame a trans person, and this is making it really fucking hard right now, okay? I cannot rely on ellipses as a way that I can blame a trans person. I'm going to need a little more evidence so that I can proceed with my demonization of trans people, okay? This is not working. My timeline demands it. Shut the fuck up.
To close loop on how this enters, again, not knowing when this happened, Rob.
Oh, by the way, she also thinks the old dude who got arrested. Hold on.
There's ellipses above. If you look real.
Oh no! Does the dude break it down?
And say something. Go ahead, Mark. Yeah, he's the guy that's always in my ear.
Not always. I just noticed that around some of these exchanges, there's ellipses above them.
You're breaking up a little bit. What'd you say?
Around some of these exchanges, there's ellipses above. If you look really closely.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're cherry picking certain exchanges. So that my dad is super MAGA just comes out of nowhere because they picked it from a totally different part of the conversation.
Yeah, these
No. No. They are specifically like taking, like, this is the assumption that time has passed. They're not talking about fucking groceries in between these, asshole. It's time passing.
messages are clearly doctored, is what I would say.
All right. Think about this for a fucking second. This, by all measure, points to the fact that, like, this person was involved. They're in a gay relationship or a trans relationship, depending on whose story ends up being the truth, and it doesn't matter because that's not germane to the whole fucking thing. But she's like, there has to be more to this than exactly. Oh God. All right. Woody's saying how Tyler didn't write this text. Okay, fine. Then his Mossad handler wrote it. Sure. That is not the fucking point. Yes, ellipses as context removed. Yeah, it's either time passed or these are not germane to the events of the day. It's common. And if anybody has proof that Tyler didn't write these things, knock yourself the fuck out.
They're doctored. Now, they could decide why they're doing that. Tyler's being forthcoming. We're protecting him in some capacity.
Not Tyler, Lance. Again, listen to this. Tyler's being forthcoming. No, he isn't. He's not cooperating. We know this now.
I find that to be unacceptable.
Sorry. This is such an awful circumstance. And I want to thank Candace Owens for being such a dippy bitch that we can all enjoy a good laugh in the middle of all this awful. This is like the Real Housewives of political assassinations. Jesus fucking Christ, woman. I will not allow it. You don't have a choice, dumbass. Yeah. So, sorry. So Kash Patel's FBI is lying to you? Or Pam Bondi's DOJ is lying to you? Or the fucking Utah cops are lying to you? Spit it out. What? Because they're all on, I guess, because she so wants this to be Mossad. For fuck's sake. Yes, Candace does not abide. Not at all. Ugh.
Okay?
No, not okay. You're an asshole.
Unacceptable. I want every single text message. I want timestamps. It is.
Can you imagine being her producer? The hell they walk into every day when she's doing this show. God damn it.
Conspicuous that you are not telling us when this was sent, because it sounds like it's when the campus is on lockdown and he's got to go back and he's got to clean up. And then all of a sudden we're in the next day when his dad is getting clued in after the picture's been released.
Yeah, it's not. This is not at all. This is the next morning or next mid-afternoon when the whole thing starts to play out over a couple of hours. She's an assassination camera.
They're not telling us that, okay?
Do you guys live here? I'm not going to allow you in my conspiracy pool.
And you have a right to be a little bit uncomfortable about that, because I'm a lot of bit uncomfortable about that.
Sorry. This is fucking... This is what I was saying. Like, if you live this shit, it like, you can't shut it off. P.S. Epstein files? Like, if this fucking idiot would break down all the bullshit that Donald Trump has said about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein with the same fervor that she's diving into a fucking charging indictment as if it's not the entire case, fuck you. Think about that for a second. I would like to compare and contrast specifically this. When has she ever ground down around the Epstein files around this? Wait a minute. Donald Trump originally said people were saying he kicked Epstein out because he was a creep. Now he's saying it's because he was stealing employees? Holy shit. Was Donald Trump maybe employing underage girls as prostitutes? Because that seems to be the job they got at Epstein's house. That sounds a little fucking hinky. Do you think she has a moment where she's breaking down any of that? What the fuck?
We need full answers.
About everything except Donald Trump's quarter-century relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Fuck it.
Further to that point, I have found this strange from the beginning.
Wouldn't happen to have anything to do with your reading comprehension skills, would it?
That for whatever reason, we're not hearing too much about this Lance guy other than like he's been extremely cooperative. He's handed over his messages. I'm not implying that Lance was involved.
You're allowing for the inference thereof, which is the wussified way to imply. I'm not saying, I'm just asking the question. That's what Tucker Carlson does all the time, right? It just, I'm not implying this. I'm allowing for the inference therein. I'm leading you to that question by going, I don't know, that seems weird. Doesn't seem weird to you? It seems weird to you. It didn't seem weird. Doesn't seem weird to you? Why not? Is there something wrong with you? Because it seems weird to me, and it seems weird to everybody else here except you. I'm not implying this, but...
Implying that it's weird that we're not hearing more about him, right? You're telling me he lived with the guy. You're telling us now that he's been texting with the guy about his plans. They're in love.
Well, they were doing more than that. I think texting is the least of it.
Is nobody interested in learning more about this character? Okay.
Yes, obviously a furry because they're wearing a hoodie. Yes, obviously damaged goods. Never mind the fact that they look like a young James Woods, like somebody de-aged James Woods.
So Tyler's people are saying Tyler's a good kid. People around Tyler, classmates, are telling me he's a good kid.
Yeah, that's what that this is where the hitch is happening. Like, he's a good kid. He's totally normal. It had to have been the trans person or the gay person that made him gay or trans that wasn't even there and has been cooperating. That can't work. It's gotta be it, but they have to have been the one that did it. It can't be the normal white guy that everybody, was like, we were so hoping.
So I go into our tips box, and it turns out that actually Lance Twiggs' family has tried to reach out to me over the weekend. Obviously, I was in a very aggrieved state, and I was not prepared to even accept that Charlie Kirk was not on this earth, okay? And I realized that they're saying to me, like, we want to speak with you, and there's more than one family member that has reached out because we trust you, and
you got emails from these people.
We don't trust the media. Good by me. They are, it sounds to me, a very good family. They're absolutely horrified by what has happened, and they are similarly perplexed by there not being more out there about the person he was living with, especially because what they told.
Sorry. So, family members of Tyler Robinson emailed you over the weekend and are upset about what happened, but are wondering why other people aren't blaming the person that didn't do it.
Told me, and I can tell you this exclusively, is that the house that Tyler Robinson was living in with Lance is owned by them. Tyler Robinson is paying rent to them. Okay, so they know Lance, obviously, and I'm going to cushion this with allegedly.
About what? Allegedly what? Talked him into it, and then he did it, and then pretended not to?
It isn't allegedly that this is his family members telling me these details, but it is definitely, allegedly what they say until we can.
Yeah, so that's where I'm confused. Lance Twiggs' family, not Tyler's family. Listen, all right, hold on.
Oh, Lance, obviously, was living in with it by there not being more out there reached out because to me over the weekend, obviously, I was in a very agreed plan, right? You're telling me he lived with the guy. You're telling me us now that he's been texting with the guy about his plans. They're in love. Is nobody interested in learning more about this?
Also, can I just say, listen to that. Listen to what she just said. For real.
We're not hearing more about him, right? You're telling me he lived with the guy. You're telling me us now that he's been texting with the guy about his plans. They're in.
He's been texting with the guy about his plans. That would give it the presumption that they were texting about the plan to do this before the killing. Do you notice that? Notice that little drop? Now, I would, in many of these things, if you look at like her kind of reaction or her attitude around this, it seems like she's being stupid, but accidentally selling this idea that in on it that's where she's leading you. I'm not implying, but I am inferring by ignorance and bullshitting, right?
Love, is nobody interested in learning more about this character? Okay, so Tyler's people are saying Tyler's a good kid. People around Tyler, classmates are telling me he's a good kid. So I go into our tips box, and it turns out that actually Lance Twiggs' family has tried to reach out to me over.
Okay, so Lance Twiggs' family, not Tyler's.
The weekend, obviously, I was in a very aggrieved state, and I was not prepared to even accept that Charlie Kirk was not on this earth, okay? And I realized that they're saying to me, like, we want to speak with you, and there's more than one family member that has reached out because we trust you, and we don't trust the media. Good by me. They are, it sounds to me, a very good family. They're absolutely horrified by what has happened, and they are similarly perplexed by there not being more out there about the person he was living with, especially because what they told me, and I can tell you this exclusively, is that the house that Tyler Robinson was.
So wait, sorry, Lance. Pardon me. I'm like, this is so fucked up. So Lance Twiggs' family contacts Candace Owens to I don't know, talk up Tyler and say they're curious why the media isn't more interested in their relative. So they contacted you to defend Tyler. Well, I'm going to need the timeline on this. I'm sorry. It's got to fit into my timeline. And are we talking about before or after you started bullshitting everyone?
Living in with Lance is owned by them. Tyler Robinson is paying rent to them. Okay. So they know Lance, obviously.
Obviously.
And I'm going to cushion this with allegedly. It isn't allegedly that this is his family members telling me these details, but it is definitely, allegedly what they say until we can hear both sides.
Sorry. Allegedly what they say. Do you even know they're really the people that you got? All right, never mind.
Okay, I'm going to pull this up because I took notes regarding Lance because I want to know everything, okay?
Uh-huh.
Lance, they told us, went to live with his relatives, so no longer in the house with his mother and father. Again, allegedly. His parents kicked him out junior year of high school because he was problematic. He just had issues. And
right. And so, sorry, his family members who trust you say that he had issues and that's why he was kicked out. Wouldn't have anything to do with him being gay, would it?
That time when they kicked him out, that wasn't exactly what they are saying legal for them to have done that. But again, he went to live with relatives.
Sorry, what? They kicked the child out of the house? Let me guess, for being gay? And he went to live with relatives?
And he has issues. They say that he allegedly has a lot of issues with drinking. That Christmas, approximately 3 years ago.
Wow. Breaking news, everybody.
He almost overdosed. He drank a bottle of vodka. They are telling me that they were there. They were present for this. And fear began to spread about whether or not even the family would be able to take care of him because...
Sorry, real quick. So let me get this straight. The relatives that kicked him out of the house because he was either gay or trans or both or either, or just because they didn't like the fact that he wore a fur hoodie, are shocked that he was using alcohol and perhaps drugs to cope as a child or something. Maybe the people you're talking to are assholes. Has that occurred to you?
Issues that he was having. Okay, he graduates high school and...
Jesus Christ. The kid almost overdoses in high school and because you kick him out for problematic behavior and suddenly it's his fucking fault? I don't know. Maybe minor children deserve a little more room and support? Asshole.
Then essentially the extended family says, we can't keep you in our home because of his behavior. Just this past Easter Sunday.
Also, what behavior? Drugs or the fact that they're gay? Because it's fucking Utah.
They are telling me that he showed up on drugs and he was spouting out of his mouth about political stuff. And at this point, they felt that he could not be around children, that they felt that he had become increasingly more radical, increasingly more dangerous, and just sort of off the rails. They said that they're unhappy that the media is presenting him in this manner, like he's just this kind of soft guy, or a person that was just transitioning. There's nothing problematic. There's no prodding.
Yeah, that's not that has no bearing whatsoever. Either they're telling the truth, either he's telling the truth or he isn't, and that will come out. Also, is anyone surprised that in Utah, a trans and or gay kid would get kicked out of their house by their parents and then turn to drugs and alcohol as a coping mechanism, and then maybe start yelling at their relatives about their rights at a family gathering? Because I'm gonna guess that's what it was. They weren't talking about the fucking Infrastructure Act, were they? Did fucking Lance show up and start bitching about tax policy? Ugh.
They don't buy the story, okay? Lance's family is telling me that they are not buying the current story and that they feel that more people are involved.
Okay, so Lance's family thinks that Lance brought people into this and there's a conspiracy. And this is going to go to all the cars parked at the house?
First and foremost, they say that a lot of information should be able to be discerned by his devices because he was, according to them, deep web. Okay? This is the person that is deep on the internet.
Oh my God. Look, by 90s categorization, everyone is deep web now. And what the fuck do you mean deep web? Well, and again, this is, you remember how they were always talking about how like COVID's going to fuck up all these kids and they're not socialized properly and they're all going to be, mentally ill from fucking lockdowns. Remember all that shit? That's the timeline they're talking about. You'd think they'd jump on this and go, this kid couldn't make friends in real life, so they were online all the fucking time. Yeah, 4chan is not deep web. Right.
They said that he was quite reclusive, that he was always on his devices, that he's...
Gee, sounds like a weirdo. I don't know anyone like that.
Always on the web, and that there should be more information that comes from...
Did they use the word the web? Did they spell out website URLs starting with https://
there, okay? He turned 22, they told me, back in August, and that he was, as I said, very into this dark web stuff.
Really? Sorry, dark web stuff. Honest to God, what are you talking about? Were they involved in like buying and selling human beings using a Tor browser?
I asked what he was doing for work. Like, how are they even able to pay you?
Obviously, there's a lot of money to be made on the dark web. Obviously, there are, I don't know, apparently there are wealthy people in power who have sons, I've heard, that purchase drugs using crypto on the dark web in mass quantities and pick it up somewhere near or around West Palm Beach. Apparently that's a thing. I don't know. On the dark web, yeah.
Guys rent, and they told me that he was doing some plumbing work with somebody else in the family.
If you know what I'm saying. Some plumbing work. If you
Moon River.
What kind of plumbing work are we talking about?
Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
Plumbing work.
You using the whole fist, Doc?
All right, so.
They told us that Tyler and him had been living together for at least a year.
Okay, so they were both in and around 21. So I think this falls well within the none of your fucking business category.
That they had not met Tyler, despite the fact that Lance had wanted to foster that meeting.
Sorry, yeah. So let me get this straight. You guys kick Lance out of your fucking house for being gay. He gets drunk at a fucking Thanksgiving thing and starts bitching about politics a year ago, but at the same time still wants you to meet his new boyfriend, Tyler, who you are allowing to pay rent in a property you own, and you've met him and he's a nice, like you never met him, but you know about him enough to decide that he couldn't have done this on his own, but you've never fucking met him, even though you're, what the fuck? Why does this level of hinky not apply to what this dipshit is reading? Run that by me again. Hold on.
Doing some plumbing work with somebody else in the family.
Oh, yes. I know it well.
Just the facts, ma'am.
All right. Okay.
They told us that Tyler and him had been living together for at least a year.
Tyler and him had been living together for at least a year. And they didn't approve of his lifestyle, and they kicked him out. He was a drunk, and he shouldn't be around children. But he has a boyfriend, and they're living together in a property that they own.
That they had not met Tyler, despite the fact that Lance had wanted to foster that meeting.
They never met. So how the fuck do you know this guy didn't act alone then? God damn. He couldn't have done this by himself. Why? He seemed like an awesome guy. How do you know? Did you ever meet him? No. Jesus. Try to keep up. Thanks. I'm trying.
The two of them, this couple, Tyler and Lance, were living in that townhome that is owned by Lance's family.
Yes, we've covered that detail already.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Okay.
And that Tyler was paying rent to Lance, and Lance then, of course, was forwarding that payment to then. Now, I had asked them about another persistent rumor that is arriving in my inbox, which people...
Look, I'm really not that comfortable talking about your inbox anyways. I mean, I guess it's better than your outbox, but still.
People are saying, who live in the neighborhood, that they noticed some unusual traffic. And this individual family member said to me, yup, we are hearing the exact same thing.
The person who'd never been to the house when the two of them were there, never met Tyler, but they heard that there were weird cars parking on the street. Do tell.
That they would prod that narrative further, but there were some
They would prod that narrative further.
You using the whole fist, Doc?
Okay.
usual traffic, a lot of cars that were seen outside leading up to the shooting in the days before the shooting or the week before this shooting. I'll straighten out that timeline for you and get real specific because I will pin down when exactly this was happening.
Let me guess, the week before? Also the week before that, but they only paid attention the last week because looking back, they're like, there were a lot of weird cars last week. There were a lot of weird cars last month and the month before that and 2 years ago and 18 months ago and, you know, but you didn't care then because nothing big had happened.
But leading up to the shooting, that there were unusual traffic in the driveway where Tyler Robinson and Lance lived. Cars that were not recognized in the neighborhood. This was not a couple that hosted people. It wasn't like they were expecting them to have parties.
So they were selling parking spaces?
And so other people are saying that that is something that struck them as odd. There was
yes, weird cars in the parking lot, and they never have company. I can't. This fucking holy shit! Can you imagine what like? Because again, I know this is specific to the Charlie Kirk circumstance, and that's clear. And it's important that we deal with it in terms of this awful that just happened. But I want this to be a lesson in how this asshole interprets reality all the time. This, you know what I mean? Like, because I think if you break, all right, chat room, if I may, I think we all can admit to a certain amount of, I wouldn't call it confirmation bias, but a habitual thought patterns that when something comes along that doesn't fit it, it takes a moment to kind of like redress and go, that doesn't quite fit with what I normally, expect to be true. So I will play with that thought for a little while to see if it fits or if it doesn't fit. So I know whether to reject it on its merits or on its ethical boundaries or whatever. And you kind of go through that part of it. But I don't think there's anything that I and please be willing, please feel free to point it out, where I'm not like capable of breaking down something based on the merits of what I'm actually talking about. Like, beyond preconceived notions, I'm not mishearing shit or misinterpreting shit that I'm watching. Literally, the words come out of someone's mouth or the words written on a page or in a paragraph of something and getting it so fucking wrong that it is affecting my interpretation of reality in general, my attitude towards other people. Right? It's so fucking weird.
unusual traffic at this house in the weeks leading up to this shooting.
Okay, so more dipshittery from this, and this should play out. Hold on, let me see if I can find because she does ads and stuff, and then there's did she go to, what is this? Hold on.
Sit next to me and say, that isn't reality, and here's how it all went down. When I was the greatest supporter, and I never cared about who he had, even though I got destroyed in debate by Dave Smith on his stage, I was cool with that. I love free speech. It's amazing. Okay?
Yeah, I agree. Free speech is amazing. Finally, someone who has the guts to say it.
I'm offering you my platform to do that. I'm not here. I'm not in the business of smearing, okay? I need answers, and I don't like the fact that people are telling small lies. And
well, I honestly, God, you got plenty of these things. What the fuck? When did I go? Hold on. Where was I? 3. All right.
Transparent. It's
Where was this shit? Hold on. Small lies. Yikes. Jesus Christ.
more indisputable far right.
Hold on. So this,
In which Aaron Wexler sent out some of the invitations to, they're confirming that Charlie was pressed. Now, this was a multi.
okay, by the way, this is the whole like Israel was going to give him $150 billion to $1 million to toe the line, whatever the shit. Goddamn. How deep is your web? How deep? Hold on. Where's the? Okay, this is the.
Wrong. Yeah, you need to answer basic questions, and we gave you an opportunity to do that. Conspicuously missing is you not addressing whether or not Charlie was offered more money and funding from Bibi Netanyahu. Could you help us out? Whether.
Okay, so I had to like dig all the way down. So after all this shit about what she believes and what she doesn't believe, and her reading this thing and her not being able to cope with what's actually in the indictment and all that kind of stuff, and again, you'd have to believe that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and the fucking Utah cops and the governor of Utah and everybody is in on covering for Israel to believe this anyways. Which, if you do, fine. But it's not based on the fucking charging document. It's based on your own bigotry or your attitude about them or how much control you think they have over whatever. Like, it's fantastical. But and by the way, and there's plenty of awful, evil shit that the Israeli government under Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. You don't have to make shit up or fabricate an attachment to something else. Believe me, there's plenty of awful. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, well, he can do what he's doing in Gaza. It's fine. But once once it costs us a Charlie Kirk, fuck him. Like, said nobody ever. Like, it's so weird. So, yes, it all, but the problem is, and this is, I wanted to point this out, like, where she finally got to this shit. This is why Vinny got to this, like, or Adam, I think it was, like, everybody is the Jews. Why they're blaming the Jews. He's talking about mainly Candace Owens and everybody around her. And by the way, and then that whole back and forth. So I just wanted to cover that, and then we will step away.